up, guys? Welcome back to the OTG YouTube channel. I've got a short video for you today on something that I feel is a pretty important topic that is not talked about that often. In the military, they call it a pre-combat check, and a pre-combat inspection is when your buddy does it again for you. For law enforcement, people get really lazy with this, and if you're somebody with no background or experience doing this in a professional capacity, you may have never done this. It's pretty common sense. We're just going to kind of work our way through it with my duty gear for special operations and law enforcement. So a lot of this is personally owned. Actually, I don't think any of it was issued. So it's just stuff I'm really familiar with and that I've put together. That doesn't mean I don't need to check it. So the purpose of the pre-combat check is basically to make sure that when I put my stuff on and it's time to go, there's nothing that's going to surprise me if it goes wrong. So that could include things like batteries, the Velcro on stuff actually sticking. Are the weapons loaded? Are they in a safe condition? Does my optic work? Does my laser work? Is my filter installed properly on my gas mask? Are my nods on the right settings? Did any of my witness marks get messed up? Etc., etc. And then specifically on loading the rifle and pistol, there's a loading order that I like to do that works daylight or when you can't see and you don't want to shine a white light for whatever reason, or if your nods aren't set up to look at stuff up close. You can do it by feel. And it just builds in a really good habit. So without further ado, let's get started. I always like to start with the pistol belt. Depending on what you're doing, you may have already had a pistol belt on and your pistol may already be loaded, in which case you would simply check your magazines and do a press check. But for me, I'm going to grab the pistol belt itself. As you can see, there are no magazines on it. And I'm doing this as if I was getting ready for duty, so I'll be putting all my duty magazines, not my training magazines, in. I mount it where I typically train and am comfortable with it. I ensure that none of the stuff hanging off my belt is getting caught up in things. I want to make sure all my Velcro is seated properly, give everything a good tug. And then I do still run a thigh strap, even though it's not necessary if your draw is good. The reason I run the thigh strap is that everything has a failure rate, and if you get into a fight with somebody, you're hopping a fence or whatever else, and this Velcro fails for some reason, or this buckle fails for some reason, I have retention of the belt, rotationally speaking, where my pistol is. My pistol's staying on me by another means. This is not to assist, the draw if you mess it up. So next, I'm going to go ahead and build out what I need on the belt, and I'll leave the pistol where it is unloaded for now because I specifically want to do the loading order with you guys. So I need pistol magazines. I'm going to check the levels of these magazines and ensure they have the ammo, the type of ammo, and the amount of ammo I want. I'm going to look and make sure there's no dust or crap in them, and then I'm going to go ahead and place those in their respective positions. And I'm going to leave this one off to the side because that's getting loaded in a minute. All right. The next thing that I would put on here is going to be my emergency reload for my rifle. So I'm going to go ahead and place that. Again, checking capacity, type of ammo, no fuzz or lint or any of that other junk in there. Again, building as we go. I like to layer my medical fanny pack over my belt. I say over, what I mean is the strap's going to run over my mounting plate for my pistol. So I'm going to place it under the belt, but the strap is actually running over the pistol there. Now, because I have chem lights and other markers, I have my lanyard for my buzzsaw, I have the shotgun loop, all kinds of stuff like that. I want to make sure that when I do this, nothing's caught up, twisted, over, under the wrong layer. And again, that's where a buddy coming in to check me afterward and look at my back and say, okay, yeah, everything looks good. That's the inspection side of it, where your buddy comes and checks to make sure you didn't mess anything up. And I will actually have Mitchell do that for me because we're getting ready to film another video, and he will be my battle buddy, for lack of a better term, for this. So I can kind of just by feel check and make sure nothing's caught up, hung up, twisted. This is where it needs to be. It's nice and centered. It's not going anywhere. So we're good to go on that. I can also check if I need to, make sure all the stuff that I want is in it. I got my tourniquets, my combat gauze, pressure bandages, chest seals. So I'm good to go. So the next thing, just logically speaking, is the actual kit itself, or the carrier. Depending on what I'm doing is how I'm going to build this out. Let's just say that for this I'm going to be an assaulter. I'm not going to carry my breaching tools. I'm not carrying anything other than, cuffs, smokes, flashbangs, and my ammo. For this kit, the way I have it set up right now, I got 3 mags, cuffs, flashes, smokes, all that, more cuffs for a buddy, and I have my drag strap. So doing my inspection, I noticed that my drag strap has a little bit too much slack coming out of it. Now we have other videos about how to mount this, how to set it up, and you can go watch that one if you're curious what I mean by a drag strap, but I'm going to go ahead and fix that so that when I throw it on and I buckle it in, it's not ballooning off the back of me, causing something that's going to get snagged. So we'll do that real quick. Shout out to my wife for the hair tie that I stole. Get it really tight, if I can. There we go. Not terrible. Better than it was. And when I hook that in, it should just be this little knot that'll be tucked right there in behind my back. Okay. Alright, again, the only thing that I have on the kit that I was really worried about was that once I get it on me, I want to ensure fit and placement, and then I'm going to check all the things on the kit itself that I need for this. So I see my cuffs are good. I had cuffs on the back. I got a bang here. It's set. I can check and make sure that the pin and everything is good, which it is. Safety's still in place. Check each individual magazine, that it's the right type of ammo. The mags are facing the right direction. All the stuff I talked about before. Things get moved around in your car, you're taking hard turns and stuff. If you're running code, or if you're just a, Tokyo Drift enthusiast. And then whatever else you might have. If I had my explosive breaching stuff or whatever on this kit, like a firing device or a spooled up lead line or whatever it is, there's a whole separate check and inspection for your explosive breaching stuff, but you can at least check it from here. So that part is good. What we just talked about is good. I'm going to go ahead and clip in my drag strap to my belt, lock it in place, ensure that it's good, make sure it lays flat. Now I'm good to go. Radio check I can do now, but I don't have my down lead plugged in from my helmet. So typically if you had someone to talk to, sad violin, no friends, I would just turn this on and say, hey, dispatch, radio check, it's whoever. Or if we're on our own channel for SWAT, SRT, or whatever your job or your mission or your friend group is, you turn this on, get with somebody, hey, radio check, do you hear me? That's really important. If you're a guy with a radio, you need to know if it works or not before you start doing the stuff that's, important. So making sure it's on the right channel, if you're using encryption, that's switched on, that people can hear you and that you can hear them, and that goes into the helmet. I'm not going to throw the gas mask on, but we will talk about what to check on the gas mask. The reason I'm not going to throw it on is I don't have my voice projection unit, and you won't be able to hear me because I would be like the whole time. So we'll just talk about it. So this is the Avon FM53. They have the FM54 now, which just has a little bit more of the electronics and gizmos incorporated into it. But this is a SOCOM issue mask that's available for government or LE purchase. You want to check when you put it on, obviously visibility, for seal. You can check integrity of your filter. You want to see if any black stuff comes out of it, carbon, and you want to shake it and see if you hear any rattling, which you do not. Obviously you don't want to cross thread this. When you put it on, you want to cover over any intakes and breathe in, and if the mask sucks into your face, you have a good seal. Obviously I'm not an Avon rep, I'm not a gas mask expert or whatever, so adhere to your policies and the manual for something as specialized as this. If you're on a team that's using gas and irritants and stuff like that, and this isn't set up right, it's going to make you mission ineffective if you find that out by getting those irritants into your system as you make entry. So we won't worry about that too much more. I like to go ahead and get my helmet on at this point. Like I said, I want to do my radio check. I like to dial the BOA all the way out. And I'm going to go ahead and actually get these ears swiveled down. There we go. Get that up on my noggin. Should always start the front and rotate to the back. You want the front of your forehead covered by some of that ballistic protection. I see guys that get their helmet fitted and it's cocked up like this and the whole front of their head is exposed. One, you look stupid, and then two, nothing's actually covered unless you're planning on getting shot in the back of the head. So, nice and low. I have my chin strap system set up so that it doesn't actually cup my chin, and this is what you need to have it set up like so it'll work with your gas mask. This way you don't have to constantly change it every time you do gas or not, gas or not. All right, get this down lead out of here. I go ahead and pop my gel cups in, ensure that my fit on my helmet is good. I'm going to turn these on to do their check, make sure that the volume controls up and down work. However it is you run your down lead, do that. I would turn this on, radio check from here, because you have to make sure the PTT is working. Because we're troubleshooting, is the PTT broken, is the ear pro broken, and all that kind of stuff. So once all that's done, I'm set. I need my iPro, I need to do my rifle and my pistol. So iPro can be obviously a lot of different things. You see I have the goggles up here, which I could use, but I'm going to throw on some clears because I don't want to be that guy right now. You want to ensure that the nose piece is in place, the arms are good, nothing's broken on them, there's no extra material that's going to, water adheres to stuff, right? So if you're like, man, my glasses always fog, and they've got a whole booger on them, the moisture is going to stick to those surfaces and surface tension is going to happen a lot faster when there's junk stuck to the glasses. So make sure everything's clean, don't be a cretin. Okay, now everything's set. So now I can get my rifle, the mag I'm going to load into my rifle, and my pistol mag. There's a couple schools of thought on this. Some people like to do a reload from their belt or their chest so that they get that free rep, if you want to call it that. I'm not a huge fan of that. I like to have a primary mag. That's the one I usually load into the gun, and then after doing that a few times, I'll strip that round out because I don't want to keep using that round over and over again, and I also don't want a bunch of random rounds in my magazines to be the ones that have been sent into the chamber and then pulled back out. I like to kind of ruin one bullet at a time, if that makes sense. So I'm going to stick with that as we go. I'll go ahead and sling the rifle, talk about checking the sling, and then we'll do everything else. Okay. The pistol stayed in the holster while it was in the case, so I haven't checked the chamber, but because I'm going to throw this over and onto me, checking to make sure that it is indeed empty. I want to put the sling over my head and make sure it doesn't get caught on my lead line. It's not stuck to my ear pro, any parts of my helmet. I want to check that in a patrol carry or an under the arm carry or in a tactical carry or a necklace carry, that it's not getting hung up on things and that it can move. Now at this point, I'm going to check my optic, my light, and my laser. I'm going to make sure that my stock is in place, all that kind of stuff. So I have to pick a safe direction to do that, obviously, but I'm just saying that for you guys because it's YouTube. So in a safe direction, getting it nice and deep in the shoulder, however it is I like to do that. Okay, the optic is on. I'm going to go ahead and turn my laser on to the setting to test it. Laser is working, and the light is working, okay? So we're good to go. I'm turning this off for now because I'm not actually using it. In reality, I would leave those settings on. This is the point where if I was using nods, I would flip those down, check all that stuff after mounting them and all that, and then I would check my IR settings as well. All right. Grab this. Grab this. I'm just going to kind of let this mag hang out here for now. I like to actually load my pistol first. That way I have at least the easiest, quickest thing to be loaded right there. So, again, in a safe direction. Make sure that that round actually was seated. It's back on safe. Tug that magazine. Check that your optic is actually working. Check that your light is working. And if it's good to go, straight back to the holster. All right, now for the rifle, this is where checking it under by feel or whatever is going to feel a little bit better than just having to look at it. I'm going to go ahead and lock the bolt to the rear. Locking the bolt to the rear allows me to load from 30 or 31 or whatever. There's a lot of debate about like load it to 28, load it to 29, load it to 30. If you just lock the bolt to the rear on the initial load, you can get way more rounds, right, according to the internet. Just something to consider. It also means that you won't have to ride, there's no risk of you riding that bolt forward and babying it. Just by letting it go, you have a lot of force. All right, so we lock the bolt to the rear. This is a 20 rounder, so that whole thing about 30 rounds is a moot point. I just knew someone was going to say it in the comments. I'm going to feel which round is high. So in this case, high left. All right, so again, it's seated in my shoulder. Good beer can grip with my thumb ready to hit that bolt release. It's in the gun. Drop the bolt release. I'm closing the dust cover. It's good to go. Pulling that magazine back out, and again, I'm feeling now it's high right. So if it was high left before, now it's high right. That means that it took a bullet into the chamber. Put the mag back in and tug. This way I'm not taking that BCG out of battery and having to look. I can tell that a round is fully chambered. The dust cover closed. You can also do a little push check into the bolt itself to make sure it's seated if you want to do that. But I know that a round went into the gun and is still there because it left this magazine. Now at this point, both guns are hot. I got all my shit together, everything's been checked, and I would say, hey Mitchell, come check me out, make sure everything's good. He's gonna check me 360, right? My boots are laced, the laces are tucked, everything's set, everything's tucked. I'm rocking, rolling, ready to go. So if you didn't have a system before, this is just a really super simple, common sense way to do this stuff. You wanna make sure that you have all your PPE and all that kind of stuff set. You want to make sure that nothing's going to go wrong in a really bad situation. The fact that I'm even having to do anything and all this means something's gone wrong. I don't want to contribute to any sort of errors. So be responsible for yourself, be responsible for your kid, be responsible for your buddy. And now what piece of PPE am I missing? Are y'all paying attention? That's right, my gloves, okay? I would want to have gloves for any of this, especially if I'm doing breaching or whatever else. Gloves are absolutely essential. Don't let anybody tell you they're not if you're actually doing this type of stuff for real. So I'm glad you guys were paying attention. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, please put it in the comments. I'll try to read them for at least the first, 1 to 3 months. We're about to go shoot some video of different drills. I'll be in this exact same stuff, so you recognize the video. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you want to learn some more about this kind of stuff and come work with us in person, OrionTrainingGroup.com. It's open enrollment for American citizens. Hope to see you there.